Hello, this is Trevor Peck. I'm going to quickly go over the chatbot project. Pardon me if I do move a little fast, but there's a little bit of ground to cover. I'm going to try to keep it within about 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and list the features out front here. First of all, we are not able to send just blank empty text to the chatbot because it's completely useless. But we will send a valid message like, "Where should I travel?" And we will get a response back from ChatGPT. Notice these three little moving dots to notify the user that a message is coming. The next feature is if we type a bunch of messages back to back, we're having a conversation with this chatbot. You'll notice that as the messages are sent and received, that this scroll bar scrolls automatically with the user so that they can keep their place pretty easily. I think the last feature to show about this is we can clear our history, and that should be it because we're back to where we started. The user gets a notification that we're ready to get started. Moving on to the code for this, we will go to index.html first. This is where we render our root element as the ID of root. This is where the React is going to hook in. So we'll move on next to that. Also, the title of the tab is called AI Chat. I don't know if you noticed, but up here in the tab window, we have AI Chat. Okay, moving on to where React hooks in. Index.js is where we grab this root element. And we're going to render this app component. This app component is essentially the top of the tree for React. So everything in app.js will be rendered, and you can make a bunch of different folders as far as the components you want to render inside of this. But essentially, this is our main meat of the React stuff. We're going to use our classic useState and useEffect hooks. So up here at the top, we're going to set everything to either empty or null or false, etc., so that everything is clear as a fresh slate to start off with. Our useEffect hook is going to grab the last message of the chain and scroll it into view if it is beyond the limit of the chat box. Our handle submit feature is what's going to submit everything to ChatGPT. We'll see this function later as well, but essentially this is where we call it. We're going to prevent React from doing anything we're not supposed to do, make sure that the prompt is trimmed off as far as white space and that we're not loading a new message. But if those things are happening, we're not going to do anything, right? We're not submitting anything that's not supposed to be submitted. Here's where we get our user message. We're going to trim the prompt, so we're going to grab the white space around it and make sure it's not there. Set the prompt equal to, set everything equal to essentially nothing. To start, except we're going to set our history equal to the previous messages sent before this, and we're going to append our message on as the role of user and the content as our message. And then we're going to also set loading equal to true because we're sending this message, waiting on a response back, and while this is loading, other things are not allowed to happen, like we're not allowed to press the send button, etc. We're going to enter our main try block here. We're going to await the reply from ChatGPT and set the history equal to the previous messages plus the response from ChatGPT. We're setting the role as the assistant, content as the actual reply. If there is an error during that process, we're going to set the error equal to the error message, and we'll use that down here as well. Finally, when we are done with all this, we're going to set loading equal to false so that we can submit more messages. Our handle clear button is right here. This is what sets the history equal to nothing. We're going to clear any errors that were there, set the prompt equal to nothing so that we're back on our fresh, clean slate. Here is the main HTML that's going to be within this element. We're going to title it as AI Chat. Here's where we check to make sure that our history is basically, if we have history there of chat messages, we are going to be able to render this clear button as able to be clicked. Here is our main messages block. We're going to make sure that our history is there and that we're not loading anything. But if we are loading, if there's no history and we're not loading, that means that we're back to our empty slate. So we're going to set the message equal to send a message to get started. Here is where our history is rendered. We're going to map our message IDs to our message content as well as the roles. So we're going to grab the role, and if it's equal to the user, we're going to set it as the text as you, and if it's the AI, we're going to set it as the AI. You can see that here. Here's you, and here's AI, right? That's where we grab our history and map them. Here is where we make sure that if our message is loading, if we're waiting on a reply back from ChatGPT, this is where we render our dots, and that's going to be used from React to move those around, as well as CSS. We're also moving it around using keyframes. And here, if we do have errors, we're going to also show those. There shouldn't be any errors in this project because I have everything set up correctly, but for example, if your API key is expired or ChatGPT is down, etc., this is where we're going to show those error messages at the bottom of the chain. It'll be like right here where my mouse is if something happens. Okay, so here's our input bar, and when we submit things, we're going to use this handle submit hook. We'll see that as well later. Usually we set the input type, it's going to be text. The value is equal to our prompt, and when the value changes, we're going to set the prompt equal to whatever is being typed. So as this is changing, internally in React, we're setting our prompt equal to this value. And of course, our placeholder, type your prompt. And if it is loading, if it's waiting on a message, then we're going to disable the bar right there, so you not be able to submit anything while it's loading. And same thing for the submit button. It's disabled if it's loading or if the prompt is not trimmed yet. But there's our send right there. That's our main meat for the main component. And we'll go on, I think we should go on to the CSS next because it kind of ties in as well. I think the most important thing to show from this, because there's a ton, it's all just the styling and the the borders, the size of the box, etc. Just the control is the main look of this, as well as the chat bubbles are blue, the AI messages are white. So that's where we set all of this. I think the most important thing to go over is the little dots, because it's just more of a complex CSS thing. We're using our keyframes, so at when they get to 0%, 80%, or 100%, we scale them, we make them get bigger, and when we get back to like 40% or something, we're gonna scale it back to the normal size. So as the animations are happening here, this is what controls the movement of the dots. And then of course right here with our dot, we have our animation as our bouncing 1.4 seconds and ease in and ease out for those. In this right here, we call it bounce. So we're setting our animation equal to this, right? And yeah, I think the rest of this is just setting the colors and such. So for example, the input bar and also the disabled features as well. So if the input bar is disabled, we reduce the opacity of it and we don't allow the cursor to be shown. We're showing the don't sign right here, you can see. Same with the button. If it's not disabled and we're hovering it, it's going to change the background to a nice blue color to show that it is able to be submitted. The prompt is able to be submitted. I think the last thing I haven't touched is the actual API. So this is what internally sends the message to ChatGPT. We're of course using our error here. If we don't have an API key, it'll tell us we're missing an API key, set it. But this is what that send message was that we saw in app.js. Send message. This is where we submit the reply, and over here in the API, we grab that. This is what defines the send message. Here's our response. We're going to use the classic await fetch syntax, and our endpoint is ChatGPT's completions endpoint with the post, of course. And we're always going to get a JSON response for them, so we're setting the content type to that. And our authorization, of course, is from our API key. We're going to grab that JSON and turn it into a string, which is just extracting it into like text instead of a JSON response. Model is GPT 3.5 Turbo. It's super cheap. Messages, we make the role the user, and the content is equal to prompt. So this is what we're sending. We're just sending this role, user, content, prompt. Our max tokens is 1,000 to keep the response length reasonable. And down here, this is where we grab our error if something happens. So if the response is not okay, not a response of 200, we go and we grab the error. We set the detail variable equal to the error message and the status text, whichever comes back, and we'll say open API OpenAI API error equal to the details, and that's where we'll put this this error. So if this comes back okay, we skip over this block. We're going to await the response, grab the JSON, and grab the last element of the chain, which is like, so we have our history, right? It's going to send all of this history, but we're going to grab this last message that was sent, and that's what we're going to set this last message equal to in the UI. I think that just about covers everything. Yeah, I've gone through all these files. Note that this environment file is not on the repo. It is get ignored. We should never put API keys in the repo, just especially in the front end. So if you do need an API key to try this out yourself, it's extremely cheap. Feel free to reach out. I'll send you one. It's no trouble to me. So if you want to run this yourself, here's our README. You just need node npm. It's very easy to start. You just literally go into where it is and type npm start, and then you'll go to localhost. You'll see it here rendered. So yeah, if you want an API key, feel free to reach out. If you want to try this or have any questions, I'll be here. Thank you so much for your time.